So happy to be back. So we're going to continue on our conversation on family dynamics and how it can build dynasties or destroy dynasties. And I know for some of you that may sound like that's quite big, right? That's quite an impact. And I'm going to continue sharing that it is. It really is very important when you're bringing family members together to have this experience of expanding a business and wealth that will be passed down through generations, that it is a big deal how we conduct ourselves, how we interact, how we share, right? How we help to evolve each other and expand each other, and what it looks like when we're just trying to judge and destroy those people around us. And this is not something that we just see in families, because if you can all imagine, this happens in companies all the time. Like, what happens when the culture of the business is not attended to, and they're just bringing people off the streets, just to fill a position, rather than looking at it from a standpoint that everybody has to work together and there has to be some alignment in the personalities, alignment in the culture, alignment in people understanding the actual mission and vision of the company in order for the company to have success. Because if not, we've all seen this, right? Is that it becomes a revolving door. It's one of those companies or one of those firms that you go to, and every time you show up, it's like you've got a brand new staff. Like, what happened to the person that was taking care of me, or what happened to the person I saw here last month? And you'll go back in 3 months and you'll see it happen again, right? Because what what is actually failing is that the mission, the vision of what that company or that firm stands for is not being shared with the employees. And rather than making or helping the employees feel like they're part of this, they're really just looking at filling a seat, right? And the employee feels that, right? And so it's interesting because in the family office space, I have seen many family offices, just like, working with different firms for my own business. The difference when the employees, the staff, are considered kind of family members, and there's this whole structure on they get shares of the company, everybody gets a bonus for performance, and helping them feel like they belong and that their work means something to the business, and it actually impacts the business, which it really does impact the business. Then those individuals tend to want to stay, right? There's more permanence in their hire, and for as long as they stay with the firm, and they feel that their work matters, right? And as individuals, what do we all love is we love to feel that we matter. We love to feel that we're being rewarded for our work, for our attempts, for our dedication, for our love, right? Because bottom line, it comes to love, right? It's in the heart. When we're going to work every day, it's like, oh, I'm just going for a paycheck because I've got to pay bills, rather than I'm going to work because I love what I do and it doesn't even feel like work. There's a big difference in the vibration and frequency of that individual. And guess what? That's what they're bringing into your firm. And so the same thing applies to our family offices and family businesses, is to be able to elevate each other rather than downgrade each other becomes such a powerful tool when we are intentionally bringing in this awareness. And one of the ways that I would always recommend this to happen is to have meetings, right? Have regular meetings. Let your staff know, whether they're family members or they're members that feel like family, right? Bringing them into the information. These are our goals. These are our projections. This is how we're going to get there. This is what I need from each of you. If you have any questions, the open door policy, let's have a conversation. Being aware of their human aspect, right? Being aware of the human that's doing the job, not the machine that's doing the job, right? Not the person that is just thinking through this and just producing and producing and producing, but hey, how are you? How's your family doing? I'm here if you need anything. Why? Because they are also the people that are helping you grow this empire, right? To build out this legacy for your family. And so when they feel like they're part of this plan with you, because they're also setting themselves up to help their family, then it's such a beautiful exchange. And in that exchange of energy, and in that positivity, the energy is elevated, right? So we're in that higher frequency. So a lot of times you'll hear me talk about energy, frequency, and vibration. And when I'm referring to energy in particular, it's consciousness, right? So when we understand that everything holds a consciousness, for example, if you say something like, I'm not feeling well today, and I know it's going to be a bad day. You've already stepped into your consciousness, into a consciousness that it's not going to be a good day, right? It's your mind. Your mind is telling you that there's no way. It may look like a beautiful day, but something's going to go wrong because you're counting on your consciousness. You're counting on that thought that holds an energy, that holds consciousness, that something bad is going to happen. And so when you're in this constant conversation of having these conscious conversations with the people, your staff, your family members on, we're going to make this happen. We are going to have that success. We're going to achieve those numbers. We are all going to win. Pulling in all of our energies, pulling in all of our attributes and all of our contribution to how this is going to happen. And we're going to build this together, right? And so where the way that I see this is, instead of looking outward, it's like everybody is in the center of a room and everybody's looking outward. Now you're turning yourself in and everybody is looking inward, right? And so that energy of integration, that collaboration is only going to catapult whatever this is that you're trying to achieve. And most possibly what will happen is that you will exceed the goals that you have placed for yourself, for your firm. And then there's a celebration that happens with that and for that. So this interaction and integration of how we speak to each other, how we share with each other, how we collaborate with each other is such a primal key point as to the success of a firm, the success of a business, the success of a family, when everybody is coming together rather than pulling apart. And that's really what happens. And I've seen this again, family offices, typically their net worth is over $100 million. And so I've seen this pull apart when you've got children, I'm going to call them children, right? But they're adults, right? Kids kicking and screaming, don't want part of this establishment, don't want anything to do with that parent or that grandparent or that family office, and they just want to collect a paycheck, right? And so that's where I understand that the original foundation of the dynamic of this particular family is flawed, right? Because the idea is to bring in the next generation by educating them on the business, by allowing them to go out and work, not in your firm, right? Let them experience, go to college, experience what the world of finance could look like, experience what it looks like, it feels like to work in a firm that is owned by somebody else, so that they can come into your firm with the experience and the knowledge that work ethics are important, wardrobe, how they look is important, grooming, how they groom themselves is important, having clean cut haircuts. Again, we're not trying to profile anyone, but if somebody is interested in doing business with your family office, with your firm, somebody's going to come in and fund you or invite you to an opportunity. The people that work with you and for you represent you and represent your brand, and most importantly, represent your family office. And so this is one of the things that I highly, highly recommend when working with a family office is that there has to be a set of rules. Ground rules are important, like any company, right? Like any business. If you're running a business out of a warehouse or it's industrial, right? And you've got machinery, there's a whole set of rules before you step in there of how you've got to conduct yourself, how you have to show up, how you need to be very aware that the machinery can kill you. Like that's the honest truth, right? And so when you're coming in with that kind of information into a company, right, into an industrial space, a warehouse, you've got to understand that the same happens and applies to your family office, to your business, your family business. And so this is where I step in and help the hierarchy, right? So we're talking about the CEOs, CFOs, CIOs, the C-suite executives of the firm, and work with them on it's okay to set and have ground rules. If your investments are, whatever number, the thing is that at a family office level, the funding of projects are typically very large numbers. You can't have people showing up in flip-flops and shorts. Like your staff, your family members have to also step in as if they own the place, right? And that's what the family office environment is supposed to look like. And again, I go back and I'm going to continue to correct myself. This is not about profiling or putting anybody down. There's plenty of time for shorts and flip-flops. The beach is great, poolside is great. Maybe family gatherings over the weekend are great, but when business is being handled and when business is being spoken about and spoken into in these conversations, wardrobe, attire, how you look, how you show up is imperative. And so that's even something that becomes challenging because the parents in these family offices don't have a handle of a good relationship with their kids sometimes. So they can't even point that out because, again, the child, but the adult is feeling that they're being told what to do. And so it's, again, we go back to the projection that all along throughout the life of this child, actually a child, they were told that they were lazy or they weren't good enough or that, they don't dress well or that, they look like a bum or their room is messy. And so that is what the child, the adult that's coming in, the next generation coming into the family office space, that's what they remember from their parents or their parents or their grandparents. And so you can see now the importance of breaking free from those old ways of conducting ourselves, those old ways of conversing with each other and sharing with each other, and coming from brand new, clean slate, how we're going to converse now, particularly when it has to do with our business, is different, right? And so it is about you being able to also, as the founders, you being able to also remember that if you want them to fully step in and take over one day, right, and continue this legacy for you, it is in your best interest that you've got to start releasing yourself from having to see your kids in the way that you used to see them. Because that's not helping you, it's not going to help you, and it's not going to help them. And so these conscious conversations where we're all present and we're all, whether in a boardroom, whether we're out at a lunch, again, I will recommend no alcohol just because alcohol is the to go, right? So many times we'll have a meeting and if it's after hours, it's a happy hour and it starts with a glass of wine or a whiskey, and then 2 or 3 drinks later, like whatever was spoken about is not remembered the next day. So I'm going to always recommend that these conversations be had in an environment that is clean, right? You can have tea, you can have coffee, right? You can have other things, obviously, you can have food, But it's important to make sure that if you want them to take you seriously, then you must take yourself seriously, take your firm seriously, take them seriously, and then everybody is on the same frequency, right? Everybody's in the same energy and consciousness, that we're here to be present with each other because there's certain things that we want to have a conversation about. And we want to make sure that if anybody has any questions, they're going to ask their questions. But most importantly, we want to make sure that everybody's going to remember what we spoke about tomorrow that we spoke about today. And so, because a lot of times what I see is it starts, as a conversation, and then it ends up being a happy hour or a party. And so the next day, then again, the kids, the next generations are seeing the adults or the parents, right? They're all adults, but the parents acting in a certain way or saying things in a certain way, and then they start to disrespect their parents again, or not taking their parents seriously because they feel that they see their parents in this energy of weakness and they can't respect somebody who they see as weak. And that's twofold, right? Because then we see that in our own kids. And when we see them in that way, then that's the same thing is happening, right? Is that you don't think or feel that they can manage your empire because they don't have it together. So my recommendation is always going to be to make sure that you are all doing the same thing, being very mindful that business conversations are had in a very serious tone so that everybody is taken seriously, so that everybody can feel respected and respect each other. And so that everybody knows that what is being spoken about and spoken into is real, is truth, right? That they're going to carry out because everybody is doing the same thing. And so one of the things that I always encourage each family member as I'm working with them is the power of self-love, right? It just happens all the time. I can't even tell you it happens sometimes. It happens all the time. When I'm starting these conversations, the first thing I'll hear from the founders and the founding partners of the firm, when we're talking about the next generation, oh, they don't respect me. Oh, I don't even know, like, they don't like me. They don't want to be part of this. They hate what I do and they hate what I've built. They just want my money. And when I speak to the next generation, they're saying the same thing. Like they just want me, they just want to control me. They just want to manipulate me. They don't like me. They hate me. Like they're just pulling me in because I'm their kid, right? And so it's so important to clean up those past expressions, not only that we have for ourselves, right, but that we have for each other. And so the work around building your own self-love, unconditional self-love, building yourself from being compassionate with yourself, building yourself by sitting with yourself and asking, okay, why am I really drinking or why am I really smoking? Is this because I'm numbing something? Because I promise you that you are. If you feel that the only way to get by, and I'm using the words very intentionally, that the only way that you get by is by being numb because being present hurts too much, then it is time for you to sit with yourself by yourself, no friends, right? By yourself. This is what you got to do by yourself and understand why you feel this way, what you can do better or different. And what I find in having these conversations with the individuals is that they're having trouble forgiving themselves for what they've become, how they see themselves. They have trouble forgiving themselves for things that have happened in their life that they feel that were out of control. They feel this difficulty of self-forgiveness for not being what they truly would like to see within themselves, right? And it's very saddening because we live in a society that is constantly soothing by using alcohol, by smoking, by using drugs, by using psychedelics. Like, we live in a society where that's the way, right? That's the way. It's like, no, it's Friday afternoon and it's happy hour and we've just, we're out of the rat race. And so therefore I'm gonna go and drink, right? So I can calm myself and get by and get through this week or get through this day by numbing myself. And so I'm always going to encourage that information very early on with these families, because 9 times out of 10, that is exactly what is happening, is that the the numbing aspect is part of their life. It's part of their composition. It's part of their existence. And to go a few days being sober and clean and just recognizing and realizing that they do matter, that they are important, that they are beautiful souls, and that they deserve to be part of this family business, family office space. And that cleaning up is not only cleaning them up from these substances and cleaning their body, but then stepping into being more intentional in how they show up. And so, aside from that, or where I would recommend and encourage the next level of cleaning up, is working out, right? Make your body strong. Go win in the gym. Like, make that a habit, make that a daily routine. For me, the gym has been a game changer. It's on my calendar. My day doesn't start unless the gym happens first. And that just brings you to this energy where your body now is reciprocating and it's clean, right? So you're eating better. You're not intoxicating it with chemicals. And all of a sudden, you have this ability to see a brighter future. Why? Because you're holding a higher frequency and a higher consciousness. And so I'm going to continue to have these conversations and to help you all elevate yourselves to step into this family with, even if you don't go into a family office, you're not going into a family business, but you're going into a family reunion, right? Is to bring your most awesome, beautiful selves into this new reunion, or into this reunion as the new you. And when people start to share or talk to you about who you used to be and how you used to be, just, just nod your head and say, well, thank you. I appreciate you reminding me, but I've done a lot of work on myself and I'm not that person anymore. And I know that you've done a lot of that work too. So I don't want to remember you how you used to be either, right? And that is just going to be such a game changer, because now you're giving each other an opportunity to start fresh, new, clean slate, and to begin to evolve into a relationship that comes with different intentions, different energy, different love, and giving yourselves this opportunity to be better with each other, for each other. So this is only going to elevate your family, because then your other family members are going to see what's going on here. It's like, whoa, like, okay, I want some of that. Like, I want to be part of that one. Like, that makes me feel good that those two are getting along so well. And it seems like they're onto something. Let me sit in on their conversations and see what I can learn, so I can also expand and become better for myself and for my family, with my family. So I'll leave you all with that today, and I will be back shortly with some more information. Have yourselves a beautiful day and talk soon. Thank you.